Welcome to the Scaling My Startup podcast by Narrative Labs. I'm your host, Talula Doherty Adetono, and I am joined by Tunde Ademuyiwa, who's the founder of Miniba. Tunde, it's so nice to have you on this podcast. I've been following your journey. I'm super inspired by what you're doing. I think, founders like yourself originating from Nigeria, from Africa, and going global can teach us, so many lessons on how to grow and scale. And I'm just really, interested to find out more about your journey. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got the idea for Minibar and how you were able to start to scale and grow it?
Okay. I've been building like I think first I was born into an entrepreneurial family. I grew up on the factory floor in my dad's factory a couple of many years ago. Um, I've been doing startups for the last 11 years. I've been building. I founded a company called Kia Print, which is still active today. That was my last startup. We're able to scale Kia Print from Nigeria to South Africa to the US and Canada, all bootstrapped, without raising any VC funding or anything. Um, I've always wanted to build something that is global. I believe my God-given talent is not for just Nigeria; it's for the world. For the world, so I've always wanted to build something that can scale in different parts of the world. We had Jump and Pass was what we originally started. And we started this in Nigeria. I and my co-founder, Kudus, we built it quietly for like a year. Then we got into Techstars. And what is Jump and Pass? Jump and Pass was it's basically mobile self-checkout, where we put the entire self-checkout technology into mobile phones, and you can just go into a retail store, pick up any product, scan the barcode, make payment, and walk out. You don't need to work with any cashier. That was
Okay.
the original thing we started Jump and Pass on. We started that about a year ago, and we went as far as getting to like 50 stores. And then
Wow.
we quickly realized that the market in Nigeria or general Africa for modern retail was really small. And we're a venture backed startup. We did Techstars, and we say, hey, to give the best kind of returns, for our VCs, that this market is really too small for us. That thankfully the technology we built can basically work in any market, and we say, hey, let's take it to another market. And we came to the US. A week after I arrived in the US, we got into another program called Founders Inc. And within the program, 2 weeks after the program, we realized that the sales cycle for retail is really long. And it's something we saw also in Nigeria. You're talking to
Hmm.
retail stores consistently before you can lock them down. The sales cycle was just too long. In fact, in some stores like Walmart, for instance, I have a friend that's been on the wait list just to speak to a buyer in Walmart, and he has been on it for about 2 years.
Wow.
So we're
two
like, look, we,
years.
2 years just to speak to a buyer, just a buyer, not even the CEO, the buyer.
Yeah.
And
That's a long time.
the sales cycle is really long in retail. And we're like, hey, what else can we do that? What else can we use our technology for? So basically, the thought was, hey, instead of us looking for supermarkets everywhere, why don't you create our own supermarket, right? And put
Right.
them in Airbnbs, and that was the idea that we've doubled up, we doubled down on, and we basically just created a new that same platform we created for Drop and Pass.
Hmm.
We repurposed it for Airbnbs. And why Airbnbs? It's typical that when you go into an Airbnb, when you get there, the fridge is empty, everywhere's empty. So
Yeah,
the
you
first
have to
few
start
hours,
getting to the supermarket and
yeah,
trying to order in
exactly.
and
You
things like
start
that.
doing
Yeah.
grocery shopping and all that. But hey, why don't you make it possible for the original idea for Airbnb was turn your space to a hotel, right? And
Yes,
now we are
yes.
saying turn your space to a convenience store, right? Where your
Okay.
guests can basically come into the Airbnb, pick up any product, scan the barcode, make payment, and you can, as a host, can make more money. So apart from the bookings you collect, you can upsell to the guests.
Okay,
And
that's interesting. Tunde,
is
sorry, I want to just stop you and ask you because
yeah,
you said so many interesting things. I really would want to
okay,
go a little bit deeper into some
yeah,
of what you said.
yeah.
With Minibar, I want to understand. So, how is your technology used? Is your technology literally the scanner that is used to scan the items? And then how is payment made? If you could give us just a bit more information about how it works. Let's say I now get a B&B, an Airbnb in California. I go into the apartment, I go into the room, I go into the kitchen, and I see the mini bar there. What's next?
Okay, so basically what we have done is an end-to-end solution where the host just independently buy their groceries or whatever it is you want to sell. Because we don't limit what you sell. You can sell if your Airbnb has a swimming pool, you can sell swimming trunks, right? As long
Okay.
as they have barcodes, you can list any product at all. Okay, so we have created a platform that makes it possible for them to stock all these things, right? Enter into the system, put the quantity you have in stock and the price. We don't set the price; they set the price.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
leverage yeah we leverage Stripe for payments. So Stripe is global. Stripe works in
Yeah.
about 46 we use Stripe Connect, right, for because we're a platform, and I think it works in about 46 countries.
Hmm.
So when you sign up as a host, you have to register a rental, right? So
Hmm.
when you register a rental, instantly you're going to get a unique QR code for that rental. Okay, now that QR code becomes the gateway for any guest. So all they need to do is scan the QR code, then the barcode pops up and they can pick up any product and scan the barcode. They'll get the price, they make payment. And once they make payment, instantly you'll be notified that,
Okay.
hey, someone just bought a bottle of Coke in your property and everything is transparent. This kind of mimics the minibars you have in hotels,
Yeah,
where
that's brilliant.
you
It
where you
does.
pick up something. Ours is a bit different because it's very transparent. With the hotels, sometimes you don't even know how much this thing costs before just get a,
Yeah.
a $20 charge for a bottle
Yes.
of Coke. It can be
And you're
very
wanting to put it back. You're like, oh, is it possible that I
uh,
just returned this? But it's not. Yeah.
exactly. So that same experience we provided it for hosts to be able to give to their guests.
Okay. Fantastic.
That way they can really make money off it. And we just get to make money from transaction fees.
Fantastic. So I want to talk a bit about your founder journey because I know you have a co-founder as well.
Yep.
I first want to touch on what you mentioned about how when you started, Minibar started off as jump and pass in Nigeria, but then you realized the retail sales cycle was very long and it was going to take a long time in order to get the solution implemented at scale, which is what you wanted. I want to talk about your personality, your character, right? Because I feel that some people would have become discouraged at that point and started questioning the idea that, oh, maybe this idea isn't for this market, so maybe it can't work. But you took a different approach in that you were like, well, I'm just going to go travel, go to the US. I want my idea to be global, and I don't know how I'm going to do it because it's not as if you had someone saying, oh, come to the US because we have this deal we want you to sign. It was more you taking the initiative to do that and just believing in yourself, believing in your co-founder as well, and knowing that no, this is going to work, something's going to come out of it. So how did you get that level of confidence in your idea, and how were you able to just keep going when it seemed as if it wasn't panning out in the way that you wanted?
Well, I think by my very nature, I'm a fighter. I'm really very dogged. It's hard for me to give up. It's really really hard. It's really really hard. I would just pivot. So I would just do something else. And I have on our cap table. There are a lot of angels on our cap table. Like people that just believe in me. They've done for many years. And I have friends that tell me, Tunde, man, you're my retirement plan, because they just they just have so much faith in my abilities. And that also drives me because every time I think about it, hey, these people are putting money into this company.
Yeah.
In fact, we have more angels than VCs on our cap table. People
Oh,
just
wow.
have some blind trust, in me and all that. So, whenever I think about it, there's something they taught us in Techstars, and they usually said, don't fall in love too much with your products. You know, that you have to be flexible approach, but don't say it has to be this one or that one, because I think nothing humbles more than the market. The market humbles you. I don't care what your idea is. I don't care how brilliant you are, but the market itself will determine how far you grow. Of course, if you can execute well. So for me, I just have that. It's innate, right? That drive to always just succeed. I'm a builder at heart. You know,
Okay.
um, like I said, I've been building for the last 11 years. I just do not do any other thing, and by
Mm.
my very nature, I'm an incurable optimist. That's the only way I know how to live. You cannot take that away from me. I am. They said that you need to have some level of delusion. You need to be delusional, right, as a
Yeah,
founder,
like a little bit. They
right?
call it
So,
Delulu now. It's a new thing.
the Lulu,
Yes.
yeah. So I'm very high on the scale. I
Okay.
just believe, and so far in my life, it has always panned out. Once I can see it in my mind, I obsess about it. I go at it with every single thing, and just somehow things just work out.
No,
Of course,
that's really. I
the
think we
God,
can all
the
learn from that. just to
Yeah,
have that
yeah,
level of optimism and self-belief, and because I think, they say that it's when you give up that that's the end, but if you don't give up, there's always something next, there's always something else. So
yeah.
I really love the fact that you said that. And I also want to touch on what you talked about regarding our market here in Nigeria and the market here in Africa. There's a lot of founders who struggle with so many elements of building, in Africa. Obviously, we do have a large population, but in terms of purchasing power, the ratio of purchasing power to the population we have is actually quite low. So what do you like? What would you advise? Because you left our shores for bigger, better, and more global. Would you advise other African founders building from Africa to think globally, in terms of their idea, or do you still think that, because you have the experience of both your printing business and now this, or do you still think that it's important to sort of conquer the grassroots first before aiming for, larger markets?
So I would say it depends on what you're building, right? There are certain things you build and w- it just works for one market, over another market. Um, there's a fantastic company in Nigeria, Money Point, right? Money Point is doing very well. But what Money Point was doing, especially the what's it called, agent banking, right? That Money Point was doing, you can't come to the US and do that, right? There's no market for that, right? So it typically depends on what you're building. And that's why I said the market is what the market decides a lot of things. Now, a company like fantastic company like Money Point, I really love them so much because they really innovated. They're very sales driven, granular. In remotest part of Nigeria, you find them. I went to my friend's hometown in Abonima and I saw Money Point there. They're very good. So business like that will do very well in Nigeria. Look at the likes of MTN. MTN came into Nigeria and they just took off. Why? There was a real need for it. MTN won't come to America and hey take off like that because hey there are phones everywhere. There's AT&T and all of that, T-Mobile and all that here. So it all depends on what you're building. So for us is we're very clear. Like when we built what we built, we knew that it could serve other markets. Right, Jump and Pass itself was built. They have more. For instance, America has 1 million retail stores. Okay, I don't think enough. When I mean modern retail stores, I don't think in Africa we have 20,000 you know. So for me, like, hey, like, why play small? Go to where it's easier to get into the market. So
Yeah.
what I and there's something I really need we African founders to do is, I'm building XYZ for Africa. Man, you need to drop that shit, man. XYZ for Africa. We need to kill it because when you do that, you put a cap on your growth, or your potential for growth. There are certain things that like Money Point, not say I'm building Money Point for Africa. I'm building Money Point, right? Money Point we is an African platform. I mean, African the product.
Company. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I respect like the Indians, for instance. This like Indians don't say we're building XY for India. They just build, right? And the world will use it. The likes of Zoho, you can see how much, and there are a lot of them. You just build software and people just use. So it all depends on what you're building. If what you're building is market specific, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to be where your market is. If America, I mean
I
Nigeria is
agree.
where your market is, by all means be in Nigeria, because that's
Hmm.
where the market is. So if
Yes, but
it
I
all
want to
depends on
touch
what you
on.
are building. Yeah,
Sorry, Tunde, not to interrupt you. I
yeah,
love what you
okay,
said, but I also want to touch on a point you made, which is when
yeah.
founders say, I'm building XYZ for Africa. In my experience, as a founder as well, I have a beauty brand. I feel like founders say that because that's what investors want to hear. Like investors want to hear, like, because Africa is a largely, untapped market. It's probably one of the last kind of large untapped markets, right? In terms of many industries. Obviously, fintech is what is thriving at the moment and what's been proven to be successful, but there's so many untapped areas, as we both know. So do you think, because you're a founder and I know that many founders are going to be, listening to this and wanting to learn from your wealth of experience, what do you think founders can say to investors? Because you have, like you said, a lot of angels on your cap table, and I'm sure, um, Techstars and other reputable accelerator programs, have backed you, which is wonderful. So what have you said, if I can put it this way, I don't know if it's too blunt, but how
hmm
have you been able to communicate your story and the story of what you're building and able to inspire confidence and not resort to cliches almost like XYZ for Africa?
So for me, I like to be honest as much as possible. I like to be just because I when I say something, I mean it, right? over the weekend here in San Francisco, I was speaking to an investor. She's American, but she's focused on African startups. And I told her point blank, I said, look, if what you're looking for is a startup that will be based in Africa, right? I'm the wrong founder for you, right? Because I'm not gonna lock down my cap. I'm not gonna cap my growth because I want to please an investor. Right. There are certain investors that have African mandates. You know that the mandate that they've given to them is that they must invest in African startups, African market, and all of that. So when you have people like that, then there's nothing you can do. You have to just pander to that crowd. So, but for me, I have left that frame of mind because I already know that what we are building is not just for one market,
Yeah.
and largely these things are also triggered by the devaluation of the currency. I don't know what naira is right now. Is it 1.6 or 1.7? I don't know. I'm not
It's like
sure
one.
again.
I think it's gearing towards 1.7 now. Yeah.
1.7. So for me to declare $1 million in revenue in Nigeria, I need to make 1.7 billion naira.
Hmm.
Okay, and it depends on what you're selling, right? Some might be easy to achieve, some might be really difficult. Now, when you
Hmm.
take money and you're taking money in based on USD valuations, right? And you now have to, yeah, you now have to contend with the valuation. It's an uphill task, you know.
Yeah.
And for us, it was just clear that hey, we are playing here, like jumping past Nigeria, like we are just playing,
Yeah.
it wasn't just making sense, And for
Yeah.
us, I like to be very clear, and again, it can be very exhausting, right? When you're against the tide, right? The market is
Yes.
pushing, you're trying to force your way. Like you're going to go and sell sand in the desert. They don't need the sand. Like don't waste your time. So for
I
me, it's
understand.
that question around the XYZ for whole Africa. It all depends on who you're speaking with,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
It depends on who you're speaking with because largely what they keep saying is I hear this a lot. I say, hey, look, investors want a good story, right? If they're like let's say like a DFI or something where it's basically more about impact and all of that,
Hmm.
then they
Hmm.
might want to say, oh, this is only for Africa. But if you really want, if you're an investor and you want great large upsides, don't tell your
Yeah.
founders to say you must be in Africa, right?
Right.
Except what you're building is only um the market is only in Africa.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for founders, I always say, know what you're building. Whatever you're building, be clear-eyed. Don't tell yourself lies, and don't just pander. Have that
Right.
clarity of thought. I know what
Hmm.
I'm building. Is it for this market? For instance, your brand, where you say, you make clothing. I mean, sorry, makeup, right? For
Yes. Yes.
for
Cosmetics for
cosmetics, yeah,
women
for
of color.
Africans,
Yeah.
for women of
Black
color.
women or
I
Latino
very I like
women.
so I like that storytelling, women of color, because
Hmm.
guess what? You might make it for women of color, but majority of our customers will not be in Africa. Might be in
Yes.
America. It might be
Right.
in ATL, right?
Hmm.
And I
Yes.
don't think as a business person, look, you follow the money. If ATL is
That's
where your
true.
market is, which is actually very possible, you find out
Hmm.
that you're making more money in ATL than you're making in the whole of Nigeria or the whole of Africa.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just it's that clarity of thought to say, hey, and sometimes it's always market penetration too. Well, how else can I penetrate? Sometimes
Yes.
you can be in Africa might be like a lower, it might be easier for you to get, and you
Hmm.
understand that hey, I'll get a big market, but they might not be able to pay me much, but maybe I can do
Yes.
volumes that will
Hmm.
compensate. So it's always there's no straight answer
Yeah,
to
I
this thing. It's
understand. You
always
have to sort of gauge it depending on what your product is and what your or
exactly
your product or services and what you're trying to achieve and the sort of revenues that you're trying
exactly
to attain as well. Well, thank you so much for explaining that. And I love what you mentioned about devaluation because I know that's a big, big problem for a lot of founders on the continent because it's an ongoing, and it's very unpredictable. We don't know what it's
yep
going to, it's just like a roller coaster, like you said. Like next month, is it going to go to 2,000 naira to a dollar? Is it going to go down, go up? You're always hedging and things like that. So
yeah
as a founder, I understand because I have some exposure to the dollar as well. So, but it's all
yeah
good. It's all good. we'll we'll overcome. So let's talk about America and this whole
hmm
thing of like the American dream and how people when I think about being an entrepreneur in America, it seems very natural because it seems like this whole thing about there's so much opportunity. I mean, I'm British Nigerian, but I've lived in America very briefly. I lived in New York very briefly when I was a
Okay.
bit younger. So I sort of, there's that energy there. People are so get up and go, and people really want to back people with great ideas and all of that. So I want to understand what your experience has been like in the accelerator that you've been in, and even just like you said, networking with investors in Silicon Valley, how that's been for you, and the sort of changes it's made to your brain chemistry in terms of being a founder.
Okay, so I can speak specifically for San Francisco. Um, I think there's no other place on earth like San Francisco when it comes to because so earlier this year I was here in April, and I spent 2 weeks in SF, and I went to Houston. I spent more time. I spent about a month in Houston with my brother. You know, and the truth is, it's just totally different. The vibe in SF is very hustle like. Everyone is trying to build something. In Houston was just jai party here. Like I got to get tired. Like look, I'm tired, man. You know,
Of course.
um, it's just a different like. And what I've seen, even Americans here, that moved to SF, they say the same. That man, the energy is different. There's a quote I read it somewhere, and I always see that quote. If you're in tech and you live in San Francisco, right, you increase the surface area of your luck, you know,
Mm,
and that thing, I have found it to be so true. You find people literally coming to you, and like where we are, Founders Inc. here, it's crazy. So many smart people. Like so, my own story was I came into the US. And a week after I came into the US, I saw this tweet saying, "Hey, if you're gonna be in San Francisco during the holidays and you want to build, apply here and all of that." And I just applied. 2 days after, I got an email, "Congrats, you got in." I'm like, "Okay, this is cool."
wow.
And I got in here, and I met like so many smart people, like so many smart people. And when you get somewhere where everybody's just having imposter syndrome, right? In my mind, I'm
Yeah.
like, these guys are so smart, and they're telling you, "Oh, this guy, you're so smart." It's just crazy, and it's the fact that everyone is very collaborative. People just want to help. No one is hoarding information. People are just very, and I can only speak for SF for this, right? Because different cities, the cities are
Yeah.
different. In
Yes.
SF here, it's just very different. The energy level, everyone wants to help. You literally people just walk like. So there's something I actually learned also is, hey, just build cool shit, put it out there. People will actually DM you. I've
Mm,
literally gotten okay a good experience just last week Wednesday. Someone saw a video, saw Minibar, and DM'd me on LinkedIn, right?
mm-hmm.
And he messaged me, says, "Oh, this was around 1:30 a.m." I was awake then. I'm like, and it was like, "Hey, I just saw Minibar. Are you guys currently fundraising?" I'm like, "Actually, yes, we are. Please, I would like to. I think what I've been really interested. I would like to speak with you." And I went, when can we book? And I was jokingly, I said, "Well, I'm awake right now." It was 1:30 a.m. And the guy was also awake. He was in SF2, and we were like, "Let's do it." And guess what happened? We got on a call, FaceTime, at 1:30 a.m. and we spoke for like 2 hours. And while I was on the call, I sent this guy the safe. He signed it and wired money.
Wow.
I have never this is a total stranger. I don't know him at all.
This is
Um,
amazing. So he literally just contacted you via LinkedIn. You'd never met him
via
before.
LinkedIn. I never met him before, and that was the second person. His own was the fastest. The second person, he DM'd me on Twitter. He saw a post on Twitter, and he was like, "Look, I think what you're doing is amazing. I would like to support you guys. Can we get on the call?" So we booked a call for the next week Tuesday, right? But after the call, this guy goes, asks for a safe. I sent him a safe. He wired money, and the best part, he started to do intros to other investors. Like, I think what guy's business amazing. You have to like, it's a different vibe. You know, everyone wants to be part of the next big thing.
Next big thing,
Everyone
yeah.
wants to. And I think that's a culture here where just look at the PayPal mafia. They sold their company, and I think the style is, and it's similar to what Igbos do, right? Where you take someone to your home. I mean, you pick someone from your village, bring him to help you for a couple of years, and when he helps you, when he's going, you give him money to go and start his own
Okay,
business.
like the
So
apprenticeship
so
model sort of
apprenticeship,
thing.
yeah, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
brilliant model that the Igbo, very brilliant model. It's something similar that happens in SF where you exit your company, you make a couple billions or millions, right? You invest in other startups. Those ones come up. Some of them succeed, some of them fail. Those that succeed also seed another set. Like in Founders
Mm-hmm.
Inc. right now, there are two GPs in Founders Inc. Two of them sold their companies to Twitch, right?
Ah.
Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
Twitch acquired the companies, and they met each other when they were at Twitch. Twitch acquired each other in their individual companies, and after they met each other. Now, after they left Twitch, they created Founders Inc., where they're bringing
Mm.
different people together to just build. They have a lab where people can just build hardware, robotics, AI stuff, and it's just that give first mentality. Now, I can tell you for free, like it's already my subconscious that I'm gonna pay this forward. It's that simple, both
I
in
think that's
Nigeria and
amazing.
America. Yeah,
I
both
think
in
that's
Nigeria and
amazing.
America. I already know in my subconscious after some exits down the line, I will
Yeah.
do the same, both in Nigeria and America. Because hey, I came in as a foreigner, and within 2 weeks of me, no, 1 week of me being here, I already accepted by a community. And for me, it's what I'm so grateful to God for this because I would have been a total stranger, right? But now I have a community. I have friends that are Italian, that are Mexican. In fact, we're going to shoot a video, and I just messaged my Italian friend, who also moved from Italy,
Oh
to
wow.
San to San Francisco. And like,
That's
look, I think I,
amazing.
I want you on the video. So that's what I can say. I can only speak for SF because it's
Yes,
truly
yes.
amazing. Even Americans that come from other cities say SF is just different.
That no, that is I think that's truly amazing, like you said, because you are like as a founder, even though you have a co-founder, it can feel lonely, but being part of this community and also being part of people that sort of deeply understand the startup ecosystem and want to participate. So, like you have people reaching out to you, you can have these meetings and you have an inbuilt almost like you said, community essentially.
Yeah.
So that's so fantastic. And I want to touch on talking about your co-founder a little bit. How did you
Yeah.
guys meet? Did you guys meet in Nigeria? Did you guys go to America
Uh,
together, to the States together? How did
yeah.
the whole thing come about? And then what have you found to be the greatest benefits of having a co-founder?
So my co-founder, like my brother right now, Kudus, we met in university, like over like 20 years ago. We've known each other for like 20 years now. We're both in engineering in school. And we had built stuff together in the past. We built there was a startup we built before Instagram came and just killed it. For weddings. We had done different things together. All the pivots we've made for up to this point has been we've been working together. But sometime in April. I had this when I came in April. I said, I think this is where we need to be. So thankfully, he got his own visa also. So he had his own visa.
Perfect.
So when I came in November, end of November, and we got into Founders Inc. Immediately, I just said to him, "Oh yeah, start flying down." In 2 days,
For
he got
all
he
the
got the feature.
non-Nigerians, oyao means let's go.
Oh,
Like
let's
let's
go.
start
Yeah,
going. It's time.
exactly. Yeah. And so I'm like, let's go. So 2 days after, right, it was on the plane to the US, So it was really quite interesting because like mentally we were ready for it. So we had our visas already. And thankfully I have the O1, which is like they call it alien of extraordinary ability. So it's the special visa that allows you to live and work in America. So I got
Okay.
that earlier in the year, so that helps. And I always tell every talented person to, especially when you have some exposure, right,
Mhm.
to try and get that visa because it allows you to live and work here. If you're in tech and you've gone a VC round or you have gone to an accelerator, please apply for the O1, get the O1 visa, right? Once you have it, it allows you to live and work in America. You can fly in and fly out, and you always be of legal status, So
Mhm.
it's like it's a visa for talented people, and it's not just for tech. I think actors and musicians have it. They can
Didn't get
get
it as
the
well. Okay.
just be very ready. And that's why I say if you're building anything, just be ready. Make sure you have your visas that you can just jump on a plane when the opportunity arises.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
feel like these gems you're dropping here probably can't get them anywhere else. So thank you for
Well,
being so
yeah, well,
generous.
you're the first person you're the first person that I've spoken with, since all the interview requests have come, but you're the first person I've spoken with.
Thank you
So
so
yeah,
much.
you're gonna,
I
yeah,
really
yeah,
appreciate it, Tunde. I really appreciate it. You see, Narrative Labs is where you get the founders that are giving the real insights on how it really is to run a successful company. Wonderful.
yeah.
So, what does the future have in store for Minibar? Have you guys officially launched? Are you sort of still in the preparation phase?
You, you,
How's it going?
we launched officially last week, Wednesday.
Fantastic.
Um, and before we launched, we already had about 605 Airbnb hosts,
Wow.
that signed up already. Right now, we have people from apart from the US. So right now I've signed up from the US, Mexico, Nigeria, my lovely country, Nigeria, US, Mexico, Nigeria, Barcelona,
Wow.
then someone today was from Portugal. People just because it's a problem that everyone understands, right? It's
Hmm.
a problem where you go into an Airbnb and there's nothing for you have to go and buy something.
Yes.
So when people saw the video, and also another thing I've also learned over the years is I used to be very low key, but what I've realized is you need to put yourself out there. Okay, when you do something, put it out there because no one will know if you never put it out there, right? So just from the video that went out earlier, the Founders Inc. was really excited about what we built, and they put out the video. They had a very good story that they told about us, and they put out the video, and we got a lot of inbounds from that.
Okay, so the video
So
was the main way you were able to sign up the 605
yes, exactly, exactly.
Airbnb
So there was this
hosts.
video
Yeah.
that said, yeah. So there was this video that said, hey, this guy's. Okay, I'll share the video with you later after the call. Oh, this guy just
Okay,
came from
cool.
Nigeria, and they came to Nigeria for 30 because the program was 30 days, and in
Hmm.
that period they were able to sign up. I mean, come up with this crazy idea. It's a relatable problem, and it's just one of those things where you know that hey, when you get it, you have to just keep running. It's
Yeah.
the market is big, and we're seeing it even from the requests. I mean, from inbound that's come from different parts of the world, and thankfully we have a payment platform that works across 46 countries, right? So what that means is, as long as you're in any of these countries, you can sign up. Okay,
Oh,
which cuts across
wonderful.
America, UK. It's anybody can use it.
Oh, wow.
So that's
That's
one
amazing. So
thing that
that's a real scalable solution that you have there. Literally
ex-
anybody across the
exactly,
world can literally
exactly.
it's like a plug and play, just sign up and
Exactly.
use it.
Exactly. So we build it that way, plug and play. You can sign up, you can use it. Um, we believe that the market is really huge. Okay. I think there are over 7 million Airbnbs, across the world. We at least that register that we even know. Of course, besides Airbnb, and by the way, Airbnb is just a term. There are others. There's Vrbo, there are all kinds, Booking.com. Airbnb is just the name we use for
Like short let
for
rentals, essentially. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Short-term rental. That's it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So for us, it's gonna be very busy. It's already very busy for us. I personally, I have to just go back and forth. We have a team in Nigeria, so but this is gonna be the focus. This
Okay.
market,
Okay.
as much as possible, and like I said, anyone can use it. We're built
Hmm.
in such a way that anyone can get started. We have onboarding tools that make it easy.
Wonderful. What's
The
the
other
web
things,
address in case anybody is watching and
yeah,
listening
it's
and wants to
mini.
sign up?
So yeah, minibar.com.
So Miniba dot com.
ba.com. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So anyone can go there, you can sign up and you can set up your own store in your house. There are other services that are coming up in the next few now because the next thing is for us to have other services. Now, what are my services? So you can go into your Airbnb and when you scan the QR code, you have two questions. Do you want to use the convenience store or do you want the concierge service? So the best part about this is it's going to be in your local language. Okay, so you can speak to it in Chinese, right? Imagine you're a tourist, you go to a
Mm.
location, you speak to it in one language, and it's going to actually book. It's AI powered, right? It's going to book
AI.
your service for you. So if you say I want to get a massage, you can say it in Chinese, and we'll link you up with the best massage person closest to you, and you come and
Mm.
have that experience. So
Hmm.
services
Hmm.
are the
Hmm.
other, are the other things we're going to add to it.
Oh,
Where
fantastic.
would any part of the world you're from, just speak your language, and we'll
Hmm.
get the service to you. So you can hire a private chef. You can hire if your Airbnb has a gym, you can hire an instructor, a gym instructor. If you want, if you have a pet, right, you can hire a dog walker. You know, you want to be on holiday, you brought a dog, and you're tired, you just want to relax. You can hire someone to come and walk your dog. If you want to make your hair, you say, hey, I think I want to make my hair. Or
That's
you,
high on my own
or you,
list. That would be the hair. That's the one I'm interested
Exactly,
in.
yeah. So you just go, you just book on the platform. So we have all the service providers listed on the platform also, to be a
Okay.
part of our ecosystem. Say you want to make your hair. So sometimes people say when you go to Nigeria, make sure you make sure you make braids, right? So you can just, if you come to Nigeria, you can get someone to come and make braids for you in your house. You don't have to go anywhere. Just we're creating a new we're creating a totally new market, right? Especially for the Airbnb hosts, because
Yeah,
all the
definitely.
services we make them more money besides the booking.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No,
that's
I love that. I think I don't even know why no one's thought of it before now, because it's like it seems so like obvious, obviously, and it seems like such a clear
yeah,
need.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
Not
amazing that you've been
good,
able to
not
tap
good, not good.
us Nigerians. You know, we're very religious. Yes, it is. Oh, it is. I completely agree with you. So, how do you feel? I lastly want to touch on something which I know
Yeah.
always happens when someone has a successful concept. There's always
Mm.
going to be copycats, right? There's always going to be people who look at what you're doing and think, oh, like that's fantastic. I want to jump into that, or we should get into that market as well. So, how are you planning on dealing with the inevitable copycats that at
Well,
some point
uh,
will come along?
w- all this will happen. May the best, how they say, may the best man win. Um, like I said, I'm a fighter. We, we, we are assembling we're trying to get the best. There is the best people, the best in the world, to join us on this journey. This is the reason why we actually say let's do a proper fundraise.
Yeah.
We'll try to get the best of the best in the world and move as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you guys have the
These days
first
there's
mover
no
advantage.
yeah, there's no moat in technology anymore. The real moat is distribution and excellence, customer experience. If you're seeing what's going on with if you've been following the online chatter with OpenAI and DeepSeek, OpenAI
Yes,
spent
yeah,
so much
that's just
billions, yeah, and
yes,
some Chinese guy just came and spent less and less because the real
yes,
moat is really because the truth at the end of the day guests don't know this technology bullshit, right? Excuse me for using that on the cover. They don't know all of that. All they just want is a great product that solves the problem, you know. So our job is to ensure we give the best service. We are locked in. We're super locked in on this. It's like we found what we need to be doing. What we need to do. So I'm my co-founder, and we're trying to make sure the best of the best brains, to join us
mm,
on this journey. Brilliant executors. We understand that hey, for this journey, there's nothing like work life balance. Let's be honest, right? We know already. If you are building, there's really no work life. If you're a founder, let's be honest to ourselves. There's really no work life balance.
yeah,
One will be more than the other one. You know. So it's our cross that we have carried. We are locked in on the mission. And hopefully, by God's grace, we win. We win.
amen,
There's a
amen.
lot
I'm
to
definitely
there's a lot to be done.
Definitely, but I'm rooting for you guys, and I think what you've achieved so far is phenomenal. And there's obviously the upside is unlimited. So really looking forward to how you manage to grow and scale in the coming months and years. But just to wrap up, I want to ask you for three pieces of advice you would give to a founder who's building on the African continent and who is looking at you as inspiration, definitely wants to grow and scale globally. What advice can you give? Like maybe just three pieces of advice.
Well, I think the first one is to know your product first, and if your product is not a global problem, if it's not something a global problem, there's no point in trying to go to another market. There's no point, right? If it's not solving the global problem, then there's no point. Um, if that's your plan, then you have to look for a product that can work across different markets, right? As much as possible, people like to copy, but copying is not the way to go, right? Just try and um put your mind into what can work. So first thing I'll say is know your product. Is it a global product or is it a local product? And sometimes
Mhm.
people say go deep before you go wide, right?
Right.
In our own case, we moved from that market, right, to go deep in that market. You know why? Because for us is that hey, the depth of this place is just how many feet, but the other one is 1,000,000 feet. So let me just go deep into one that is 1,000,000 feet and let me walk my way from there.
Yeah.
So I first is know your market. Second is hmm, I'm not good at advice because honestly speaking, I hardly ever advise people to do startup. It's a brutal journey. I don't advise
Yeah,
people.
I
Yeah, I
understand.
don't. You must be stuck in it and you need help. I'll now say, okay, this is how you do it too. But I will never
Yeah.
tell anyone to quit that cushy, that lovely
Nine
job
to
for
five.
startup.
Yeah, I
Oh,
understand that
I
safe
won't
salary.
I won't tell anyone to do it,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
you're really locked in, for it. So the first is yes, know the market, know your product and the market. If it's not a fit for a global audience, then there's no point. Focus on
Okay.
your market. You
Okay.
know. Secondly is
Get a
the
co-founder
valuation thing.
maybe.
What do you say?
I said get a
So that
co-founder maybe.
yeah, people say that a lot, but I think it's better to be solo than have a. It's better to be solo than have people say like it's better to be single than marry a wrong person, right?
Hmm.
In the same way for because co-founder relationship is like a marriage, right? Um, it's better to be a solo founder than be a co-founder because I don't like when you say get a co-founder. You don't just you can't put people in a box, right? Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
many people did things without having a co-founder. Look at Amazon, the fantastic company, no co-founder.
True.
Yeah, it's possible, and sometimes you even execute better without a co-founder. I've seen people put themselves in the box of co-founder and have the wrong co-founders, and it's already a mess. I know people that,
Mm.
like, I literally know many people that have about this kind of issues.
Hmm.
If you have a co-founder that is not a match for you, but because it's you have co-founder, you now start to force it because it
Yeah.
can be very messy,
Okay.
Because what I say is, if you have a co-founder, I'm not saying you try. Of course, it helps. It helps to have a co-founder because sometimes you hit that mental block, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Two of you cannot be down at the same time. One person can be down,
True.
another person will lift him up. But if two of you are
Yes.
down,
Yeah.
what I always say is just go and eat. Like my own the way I handle stress for me is when things are
Yeah.
first thing I do, I will eat. Once I eat, I sleep. Tomorrow, sun's gonna shine. You know,
True. Yes,
tomorrow,
that's a good way of
sun's gonna
handling
shine.
it.
Yeah, that's how I handle things. But the truth is,
Yeah.
not everyone is like me. I have been at this for a long time. I'm cooked. I always say I'm cooked already, right? I can always bounce back from things. So a co-founder will help you in that case where you can
Yeah.
say, hey, but if you are a co-founder and both down together, just go and sleep. Eat, sleep tomorrow. You keep
Have
going.
a nice yummy meal and then
Yes,
get some
yes,
rest.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and largely I also tell people because don't attach, especially for smart people. Smart people usually try to you attach your value to the work you do, right? And this can lead to depression because suddenly because remember that you're not a startup, the
Mm.
markets because you can't control these things,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
So you have to be careful on how you attach yourself to what you're building to say, hey, if your startup is failing, doesn't mean you are failed. The startup failed. Be able to draw the line, to say, hey, the startup failed. Not every money is good money. Or yeah, or not every money is good money. Don't go and collect problem for yourself. Because you
Mm.
want to collect. Yeah, not every money is good money.
Mm. So what do you
Um,
mean by that? Do you mean that there's some money that you collect that will bring you more headache than if you hadn't taken it? Because
oh,
I know
oh
for
yes.
entrepreneurs, when entrepreneurs are looking to scale, it's like you're not even you're just thinking anybody that brings it, I'm ready. You're not really thinking
To,
deeper than that. So
to be honest, I am this advice. I'm even giving myself the advice too, because sometimes you can be like, hey, I need money. And it's something I pray about every time. I don't want to collect money from the wrong person.
mm.
Um, People that can be helpful to you, you know. Like Tooks, is one of our advices. But I don't like call Tooks for anything. Is ready to make a call, and that's why. And a lot of times that's how you should look at investor relationship. So can I go to lunch for this guy? Can we hang out together?
Mm.
Can you not people that you can't stay in a room with. You just detest each other.
Right.
You
Okay.
know. So you have to be sure that whoever you're taking money from, you can understand that they are going to be part of your company. I give myself that advice. So sometimes be like because out of desperation you want to collect money. I think another thing to also notice know if your company is actually venture scalable.
Right.
Okay.
That's very
Yeah, because
important.
sometimes you take VC money when your business is not very. So, for instance, my other company, my last startup, Kia Print, we didn't raise any VC money, and we didn't raise any VC money. because I got good advice. Someone said, "Look, Tunde, this is print. Print doesn't have the multiples, right? That
Yeah.
traditional software has, right?" And he collected VC money and he got burnt, and he was like telling me, "Please don't do
Hmm.
that for this because we're in the same line of business." And
Right.
because VC money is a rocket for it's rockets, right? It's like you're fueling a rocket, and if
Hmm.
you don't have a
Hmm.
rocket and you put that kind of, and it's gonna blow up. So
Right.
sometimes ask yourself, this thing, it can be a nice, cool business that can make you very good money. And
Hmm.
sometimes $5 million a year business is still not is not a VC money. It's not
Hmm.
a VC backable startup. Sometimes it all
Okay.
depends on how. Yeah, so you have to understand what you're building.
Hmm.
And that's why you know the money you collect. I know it's easier said than done, to be honest, because there are times where you just take some deals because you want your company to survive.
To survive, exactly,
you,
exactly, to
you,
stay
you, you,
afloat.
you- yeah, yeah.
But
And as
but
much
I
as
guess what you're
possible,
saying is, if it can be helped, if you're
if it
able
can,
to
yes, yes,
be
yes.
more sort of objective about it, then try
Objective,
and think
yeah,
of it in that vein. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
Then
yeah.
largely is make sure you have a community. That's so important. A community is so important. Being a founder is really, really hard. It's tough. It messes with your mental health. You know, I must be honest and vulnerable with you. At a point, what led to me come to America? I got the O1 visa like since April or sorry, maybe June or August or something, right? And I
Okay.
was just lying down there. And that day I was online and I just told my wife, I was on Twitter one day, I just said, I think I need to go to America. And she
Mm,
looked at me and she says, okay. And I went. And she just told
amazing
make sure your
wife.
ticket,
So
yeah, make
supportive.
sure your ticket, and she said make sure your ticket is flexible, right? Because I was planning to come back in December, right, for Christmas. And I had no idea I was gonna get into a program that was gonna keep us in America for a long time. And I can tell you for free that when I got here, I realized that my mental health wasn't good before I left Nigeria. Like it just happened because suddenly I was a bit demotivated,
Hmm.
right? Because I was slow to my moving, and I came into San Francisco, and suddenly the energy just came up. It's
Mm.
I can't I like this is me being very vulnerable with you to tell you what really
Thank you
happened.
so
But
much
between
for
the
this, because I
yeah,
know people can
like
relate.
yeah, like it was I was really down. No, not okay. You don't know you're actually down
Hmm.
until you go
Hmm.
to a different place. So like I was
Yeah.
my spirit was just lifted, you know?
Mm.
And I can tell you that when I reflect on it, it's always like, hey, like in our own case, we just won the Zenith. We had this Zenith hackathon,
Okay. Yes, I've
So
seen that.
yeah, so we applied. We won that hackathon on Thursday, right? I flew out on Saturday. So that week things just changed, because sometimes
Mm.
you just want that piece of good news. So that
Yes,
hackathon we
true.
won elevated my spirits, and I was scheduled to travel to the US anyways, and on that was Thursday. On Friday I flew out,
Hmm.
and suddenly I can tell you that the moment I arrived and people saw what we're building. Sometimes you just need that validation. Say, "Oh, this is really
Yes,
amazing."
I
That's all you
agree.
need,
Hmm.
you know. So
Hmm.
sometimes, and I don't know if I'm saying this out of privilege, is that sometimes you just need to get out there.
Mm.
Just sometimes take a step back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be as simple as just don't go to work that week.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Just because being a startup is if I know it's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah. No,
If when things are working out, when things are not working out,
it's a roller
your mood
coaster.
can in one day your mood can change three times.
Yeah. I I know exactly what you mean. Oh my God, don't make me laugh. It's so funny. I have my own personal story,
It,
but I'll tell you
yeah,
another time. But yes, I understand.
you know,
I
in
totally
one
get it.
day, your mood can change three times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when we got into Techstars, the day we got the news that we got into Techstars. If you had seen I'm a co-founder that day, if you came to my office and you saw I'm a co-founder the day we got the news, we got into Techstars, and maybe like 1 hour after that. So what happened was when we got in Texas, we were very happy. Yes, finally we have something. Then 1 hour after, we got a call that something broke down in some software was not working in one supermarket. And if you had come into the room or the office, you won't even know this guy just got some good news.
Good news. Yeah, you're already
Yeah.
thinking about
So
it. Sort outs.
yeah. So
Yeah.
all right, my own approach to life right now, just take life. Don't take life too seriously.
Mm.
Um, give yourself um grace,
Grace.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
especially smart people, right? Smart people usually just tie their self-worth to their work.
Yes, I
It's
agree.
v-
I agree.
it's
I think
very
that's
it's very
I think that's
yeah, it's very dangerous. You
yeah,
just
and
you
smart
feel
people overthink. There's a lot of
yes.
overthinking that goes on as well when you're smart. You're thinking it goes this
Yeah,
way, if it goes
yeah,
that way, plan A, B, and
yeah, yeah,
C. You know what I mean? Like you're
yeah,
all like a lot. There's a lot of activity going on in the
yeah.
brain.
And
So
most important, but that community is so powerful. If in fact maybe that's the most important feedback I can give is the community. Oh
okay,
my God, it's all you have when you have nothing.
I
That
agree.
community. You
I agree.
sometimes you just need to talk to another founder. If you're a founder and you have no community, you are doing yourself a disservice. You must have that community. Have a founder friend and someone that can help you also sometimes that can help you just to elevate. Sometimes it's just to elevate your spirits.
I agree. Yeah,
You,
yeah.
you, you know,
And
it's a
because
lonely journey. Yeah,
it's very
like
it can be, yes, very lonely,
yeah.
especially
So that
if
community,
you're not around people who are in the same space, so they may not understand like how it feels, because sometimes like you have salaries, you have all these overheads, and maybe you forecasted that your growth is going to be XYZ, and like you said, it's the market. I love what you said about the market. Like that has really given me like so much
is
joy
is
today. Like the way you
yeah.
explained it was perfect. That you can
It's
do your best, but at the end of the day, the market decides essentially. So
yeah.
yeah.
And when I talk about community, I told you when I was in LA for sorry, I was in Houston for 2 weeks in
Mhm.
April, and I flew to Houston, you know, and I can tell you that all through my 2 months trip in America, my best work was in SF in that 2 weeks. Why?
Wow.
The community. So when I was coming to America this time around, the second this in November, I flew for the first time ever. I flew straight to SF. I didn't go anywhere else.
Mm,
I just because I knew where I needed to be. Let me just
yes.
be around my people, my community. Sometimes as
Yes.
simple as you go
Yes.
into a co-working space where you see another founder, these things help a lot. And you can
They
have it, and
do.
you can have this community in any place. You know, in tech, the Texas that we did, I think the biggest part of Texas for me was the people, the other
Mm.
founders. You know,
Yes.
um, Miniba was born out of conversation with my other fellow founder friends.
I
Do you
understand.
get my point? You know, it's
Yeah.
it's 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 that community is everything,
I get it.
and I think
I
that's the
just did
most.
an
That's
accelerator as well last year, so I totally get it.
okay.
Like
Which one?
54 Collective. It was a
Okay, okay,
54
okay,
Collective. They're a
okay,
South
okay.
African
Yeah, yeah, I know them.
VC firm, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was great. Like same thing as you. Like we had a mentor. I had a mentor. In my immediate group, there were 10 of us. And so we'd have group coaching calls, and we stay in touch now. And it's funny because even on Friday, I saw my accountability partner from the accelerator, and we are just both complaining about she's in skincare, I'm in cosmetics, so it's beauty. So we
yeah.
have the same concerns, the same experiences, and you're right, it really does give you a boost, and it really does help you to it's the thing that what you're saying about the co-founder, like when one is up the other is down and vice versa. You feel like you always have someone there to pick you up, and you can be that
Yeah,
person for other people as well. And even today someone called me up about, I know I'm going into my own story, but oh, could I connect them to a
yeah. Go
retailer
ahead.
that my products are in? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Here's the email address of the buyer for that retailer. So it's really fantastic how there is that like you said, inbuilt support when you have a community.
It,
It's key.
yeah, it's everything. It makes your life easier. Sometimes it can just even reveal to you that you're not crazy after all.
Mm.
You know, because imagine you're going through. I'm like, oh, I'm going through the same thing. Okay, so it makes us. They say the same misery loves company, right? Sometimes like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm not the only one that's going through this. So
Not
like,
the only
okay,
one. Yes.
so that community helps. It helps a lot, especially when you have decided to go that route. And give yourself grace to know that, hey, it's not me failing, it's the market. And tell yourself the truth. If you screwed up on your part, you say, okay, I think I screwed up here. Um,
Mhm.
for us, some of the things that we did earlier is maybe we overhired, and we say, okay, we accept that, okay, I think this was some of the mistakes we made. Maybe we overhired. Just tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself
Mm.
the truth. Don't lie. You
Mhm.
can't lie to yourself, right? Tell
True.
yourself the truth. It helps you, and don't take yourself too seriously. try and as much as possible have fun. I know I'm at Texas group. We are due for a hangout. The last time we okay, though, so we're all going club. Let's go and just sometimes just to be together. It can be any
Yes,
hangout.
yes,
Just
yes,
make sure you are.
yes,
It helps a lot.
yes.
And you say things without being judgmental. You are freer with yourself. It's like this. What do you call it? Where is what's the name? Where people that drink go to, like people that have drinking problems go.
Oh, like
Um,
is it rehab?
no, not rehab. What AA, yeah, like AA, yeah. Where
Okay,
you where you
okay,
go and say, "Hi, my name is Tunde. I used
okay,
to be a
yeah.
drug." So it's that kind of vulnerability.
Yes,
Just
yes, yes,
like
yes,
this is what is going on. This is where we are right now.
yes,
And that way
yes.
you can pull yourself up. And your followers can do like your friend says. Someone asks you for an intro. You're
Yes,
happy to
yes.
introduce. Once you do that, if you help that person's part,
Hmm.
and don't. There's a thing I see sometimes. Some people try to, as you say in Nigeria, trying to code. You
Mm,
know,
mm.
here, people just share.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think it might because I think it's that fixed pie mindset. When you feel that, hey, if I give, I'm taking from me. If you
Taking,
believe that,
yeah.
yeah, that if you think that there's abundance, there's abundance everywhere.
Hmm, hmm.
If you have an abundance mindset, you don't think that way.
Yeah. Of
You
course,
don't
of
think,
course.
yeah. So, but some people don't have. Some people just think it's scarcity mindset, right? Where if I give,
Yes.
that means.
It's
So
like,
always have that. I always have that mindset of being able to share with founders, share willingly, and just enjoy life. you
yeah,
know.
Tunde, thank you so much. I feel like we've come away with so many nuggets of wisdom from you. And I really thank you for your vulnerability because that's not
Yeah,
a side of founders that we see often, especially with like the PR that is very common in the space. You hear this person raised this person got into this accelerator, and there is this facade, which is not a bad thing. I think sometimes you want to put your best foot forward, obviously, all the time, but we are human beings, and we're not machines. Running a business can or startup, can definitely take a toll in different ways, and it's important to be cognizant of it and know that, okay, this is how I'm going to have a community around me. I'm going to take breaks when I need to. I'm going to have this certain mindset of like, I am not my business. Going into it and being aware of all these things can really make the
yep.
journey a whole lot easier. And thank you so much. I'm so happy that we've had this really in-depth conversation about
Yeah.
your journey from your printing company to Jump and Pass to
Miniba.
minibar to the moon and beyond.
To the moon, to the moon and beyond. To the moon and
Yeah,
beyond.
it's been really
Yeah.
wonderful. So thank you so much for making time.
Yes.
Wishing
Yes.
you
Yes.
the best of success in this
Yes.
endeavor. And I'm sure once you scale to unicorn status, you're going to come back again and you're going to tell us how you got there. I'm excited
Yeah.
for our next
Yeah. Yeah.
interview.
Yeah. Yeah. I should be in Nigeria soon, so maybe we'll see how we can see. You know.
Wonderful. That would be great. That'd be great.
Oh,
All right, Tunde,
okay.
thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
I
Bye.
need to. I need to.
Bye.
Bye.